Alright everyone, today we are doing an oil change on a 1997 Ford Crown Victoria. No, it's not a police package. I believe it's just your standard 4.6 Ford motor V8. And yeah, we're going to do an oil change. So we're just going to chalk up the back of the car, get a jack under there, and then remove the under tray. And I'll show you guys that. Okay, after setting the emergency brake and everything, you want to go ahead and get your jack under the frame and lift the car. And you always want to make sure you use a jack stand as well. Never trust your jack.
What else, Daddy?
And I'll actually keep both under the car. I'll use the jack stand and the jack just so that there's that extra support. Okay, once you've safely raised the vehicle, the next thing you're going to be looking for is this plug right here. Let's see if I get a better shot of it. Right there. This is the plug that you're going to be looking for, and this is the drain plug to the oil pan. So you're just going to break that loose. Make sure you have your catch fan so you don't make a mess, and just let the oil drain. Okay, when you go to break this bolt, it is a 16 millimeter bolt that goes to the drain plug. And at this point you want to be ready with your catch can, just so you don't make a mess. Or as big of a mess, I should say. And now we can let all our oil drain. And once it gets down to a slow drip, we can put the plug back in after we clean it and start to fill her back up from the top. Alright, so once you get down to a slow drip, I don't even know if you guys can see it, it's a super slow drip. But once you get down to a slow drip, if you are still paranoid, you want to make sure all the oil is out the vehicle, out of the pan, you can always grab the dipstick and check the dipstick. So, there's a little smudge of oil there, we'll wipe it off and just see what it looks like afterwards. Alright, we got to sit in there for a second. Engine oil, pull it out. And it is pretty much just as clean as when we put it in. I mean, that's oil basically just from being on the shaft in there, or the tube in there. But like I said, if you're being paranoid about it, here's one way to check to make sure all the oil's out the vehicle, if you really want to take that extra step and check. But once it gets down to a slow drip, you're safe. And now we'll go down and remove the oil filter. So before I put my drain plug back in, I always will have a rag with me, wipe it off, try to get all the oil off, make sure there's no debris on it from when, if it falls on the ground, because you don't want any of that garbage or dirt floating around in your motor. So just wipe it off before you retighten it. Alright, and when you put the drain plug bolt back on, you want it on there tight and snug, but it's not a head bolt, so you're not trying to over tighten it really. Just get it tight, maybe another half turn past that, and then you're set. Okay, once you find your oil filter right here, which is on the driver's side of the vehicle, you're going to turn it counterclockwise to remove it. Just make sure you are prepared with the oil catch fan again, because you will be losing some oil, and you may have to use a oil filter wrench, or if you can get a nice good grip on it, you can spin them off. So there it goes. I'm gonna stop it just so I can Alright, so there it goes. Filters off. And I'll go ahead and let it drain in the pan. There's usually a little indentation. Some pans have the indentation for the filter there for you. Just let it sit there and drain for a second. But now we're just gonna go ahead and wipe off the housing area. Let's see if I get a good picture of it. I'm gonna wipe off the housing area here. And once we get that wiped off, we will put our new filter on. Alright, so after the oil filter housing has been cleaned and wiped off, before you apply your new oil filter onto your vehicle, yes, they're size specific, you're going to want to just dip your finger into the new oil, and you're literally just going to rub it on this O-ring here. You get it nice and lubricated. Alright, and I'll get this whole top area here, just a little bit on the thread there. Just make sure that oil comes into contact with this. Alright, okay, now you can reapply your oil filter, and when you spin it on, you're going to turn it on clockwise. And once again, you're not trying to get it super tight. Once it gets on there tight, maybe another half turn, but that's all it needs. So here we go, going clockwise with it. Alright, there it goes. It's getting a little tight. So now a slow little quarter turn there. A little quarter turn, and that's it. That's all it needs. Alright, now that we have the oil filter down there on and tightened, and the drain plug tightened, with the vehicle still in the air, we're going to go ahead and remove the oil fill plug. And it's a little cruddy, so we're going to go ahead and wipe that off too before we put it back on. But now you can take a clean funnel, any sort of funnel will work, and we can go ahead and fill our oil. And you want it clean because you don't want any dirt or any kind of foreign matter running around in your motor there. After you fill the vehicle back up with oil, you just want to go under it one more time before you remove the jack, just to make sure that you have nothing leaking or dripping from either the oil filter or the oil drain plug. And if something is leaking, go ahead and take care of it now. Alright, so once you've lowered the car off the jack stand and jack, you can go ahead and start it back up. And again, you're going to want to check the dipstick, make sure you're full, and also you're going to want to look under the vehicle and just make sure you don't have any dripping. Everything looks good. Alright, that's how you do an oil change.